Support comes from Missouri Forest Products Association, committed to sustainable and sound conservation of the state's forests, which support more than 41,000 Missouri jobs, resulting in a $10 billion industry. ChooseWood.com.
From St. Louis Public Radio. This is St. Louis on the Air.
I'm Sarah Fensky. St. Louisans across the metro have stepped up to sponsor the Afghan refugees being resettled here, but few have gone as far as Ann Wittman. The stay-at-home mom in Ellisville was focused on raising her 3 sons. Then Kabul fell, and she got involved with the nonprofit Welcome Neighbor STL and quickly became immersed in helping nearly 20 Afghan families settle in St. Louis. She's helped them get everything from washers and dryers to car repairs to, in one case, a house, often by crowdfunding and working her connections. The first family Ann Wittman partnered with was the Wardecks. Father Faridallah Wardek worked with Afghan Special Forces before Kabul fell. Producer Kayla Drake visited his family earlier this week. Here, the 25-year-old father of 6 explains that settling in America has been harder than he expected. A family friend, 15-year-old Ahmad Safi, helps translate.
ځکه چې په افغانستان کې خو موږ خپل کورونه او ښه ژوند مو ځکه د خارجیانو سره چې موږ زموږ معاشونه ښه و ډېر ښایسته
In Afghanistan, when he was working with Americans, he had a pretty good life going on there with a good salary. They were keeping good here. But when they came here, their kids were crying. They didn't know what to do at all before they met, and they had a lot of trouble. They had one pair of clothes, their whole family, like every person. And it was very hard for them. They didn't know nothing. They didn't know the rules, anything. The caseworkers from International Institute, they didn't help out at all. And he was confused what to do in his life.
Faridallah Wardek said Afghan families need an American partner to be successful. Nearly everything in his house, from the furniture to the tablets to the clothes on their backs, are there because of Ann and her cousin Delia Andrews. Ann even bought the Wardeks a house in Afton. Faridallah explains that he plans to buy the house eventually from Ann.
ورته زما خو اراده ده موږ دې ته منتظر یو چې زموږ سرنوشت معلوم شي ګرین کارت یې زموږ راشي زه پوه شم نو ما
He knows that he has to that is the perfect thing for him to buy this house from it, because he knows his kids have to grow up in St. Louis and they have to go to school, and it's going to be harder for him to go to another state or move out, so they have to work here and make a future for themselves here.
Faridallah gets paid $14 an hour at a manufacturing company making water pipes. Even with overtime, his job is not enough for him to provide for his family, so he still relies on Ann and Delia for help. At the Wardek's home this week, Delia Andrews told our producer Kayla Drake that she's happy to help.
It's the radio. You can't see these children, but they are gorgeous children. Their eyes light up. They're just amazing, smart, lovely human beings.
Yeah. So in a way, it's changed your life too.
Oh, tenfold. Yes. I get out of this way more than I put in, and we put in a lot.
Now, a couple weeks ago, Faridallah asked Delia how long she and Ann intend to help the family.
And it occurred to me that he didn't understand that we intend to be here forever with you. We will see these children graduate from high school. We will see them, get married someday or drive cars. There is no expiration on that. Our commitment isn't for the next 6 months or, isn't for until you are on your own. He doesn't need us as much. Like I went all last week. The reason I was so excited to get here today was because I didn't see him all last week, and that was unusual. I'm usually here a few times a week. But they are becoming more and more independent, which is the goal, of course. But we will always be involved with this family. They have touched our hearts, and we hope we have touched theirs as well.
Delia and Ann often clock 40 hours or more a week shuttling the refugees to doctor's appointments or grocery store runs and helping them wait on hold for government programs. The last 8 months revealed to Delia how privileged her life has been in the U.S.
We have phones in our pockets and driver's licenses and educations, and we are more and more aware of the privilege that we have been given our whole lives, and we must share it. We must help these human beings. They're here. sometimes maybe not by choice necessarily, but they absolutely deserve our love and respect and our help.
And Delia noted that not every volunteer needs to clock 40 hours a week to make a difference.
There are all kinds of levels of need, big and small, and everything moves the meter with these families. Any little contribution that can be made is at times life-altering. Taking a young man to his driving test and he passes is an amazing thing, a gift that you've given them, and it definitely moves the meter.
And that is Delia Andrews. She's speaking from the Afghan home of the Wardeck family earlier this week. Delia lives in Warson Woods and got involved with helping the family through her cousin Ann Wittman, who has now helped around 20 Afghan families. And Ann Wittman joins us today. Ann, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So, Ann, this has become such a major part of your life. Take us back. What first made you interested in getting involved with these Afghan refugees and Welcome Neighbor STL in the first place?
Well, I saw a post on Welcome Neighbor STL's Facebook site that listed 2 families that had just arrived in St. Louis, and it listed the names and ages of all their children, and it just said they just arrived with nothing. If you can help, reach out to us. And I said, I can help. I live in a really active and generous parish, Holy Infant, in Baldwin, and I know that I can easily fill my minivan with everything that this family needs. So within a week, I had enough donations for the whole family, and it was clothes and shoes and some basic household needs, just enough to go for the first visit to find out what else they need. And so my husband, Frank, and I went to their little apartment in Afton, and we walked in, and they looked scared and nervous, and the apartment was bare. There was no furniture.
Wow.
And no boxes, nothing. And they invited us in. The culture is so welcoming and hospitable. And they served us some tea. And there was an interpreter there, a young man who was 14 years old, a family friend. And we just sat and listened and heard all of their needs. And I just could not believe that they were dropped off at this apartment with literally nothing and had no one to ask questions to. So I went from there.
And did they have a lot of questions? I mean, just trying to sort of figure out how to navigate things. That ended up becoming a big part of what you've done.
Yes. Can you imagine if you moved to Afghanistan and the culture is so different, and you would have a million questions. So yes, the first question was, can you help me get a job? Mm-hmm. How do I get a job? And how do I get food stamps? And we need clothes. And what is safe? What is not safe? Basic questions like that. So the first thing we did was we got him a job, and then he was determined to get his driver's license, and he took the permit test many times before we then hired a translator, and he passed, and then he got his driver's license. And so things started clicking along after he got his driver's license.
So look, it seems like you could have been busy enough just helping this one family. You ended up just going all in, wanted to try to help many more families. Was your husband also all in? And go ahead and share with the world.
Of course, he was like, go in and share with the world, but it did impact our family significantly because prior to meeting the Wardeck family, I would drop my kids off at school, and then I would have time to go to the grocery store and do laundry and clean the house and volunteer at the kids' school, and all that changed overnight. So that was an adjustment for all of our lives. But yes, my husband and my family, they saw the need as well, the significant need that this one family needed, and they called me for just about everything. So I quickly invited my cousin Delia to help me because she had just retired from her job. And I knew she had a giving heart. And so she jumped right in and started helping me with everything.
And so you guys have supplied, so many man hours to try to help them navigate this country. You've also given a lot of things, and you've been able to do this by just kind of working your connections. How have you made that work?
I mean, it's so easy in St. Louis. I mean, we just asking. Everyone wants to help. Every single person that I know wants to help. They just don't know how to help.
Yeah.
And once we got in it and we were spending every day with this family, and then obviously word got out, we helped the next family, just by social media or in my church environment. You know, as a Catholic, you're born to to just know that Jesus came to earth to teach us how to live, and he wants us to serve others, and he wants us to help the needy. So in my circle, which is mostly Catholic people, everyone wants to help. And so it was so easy to get all of these things. It was so easy to get shoes and clothes and gift cards and even cars. I started asking for cars, and I got 6 cars donated.
6 cars.
People are generous in St. Louis. Yes.
So the 6 cars is impressive enough, but then at one point you decided to buy a house for this family, and you were able to do it where they're now paying rent to you, and it's just as cheap as this apartment was that they were placed in. What led you to get involved on that level to say, I'm going to buy this house?
Well, we finally got the kids into the school, and the Afghan school district was absolutely amazing. And it was like sending your kids to a top-notch private school.
That's great.
They just went out of their way to love these children. And so we were looking to find a rental house in the Afghan school district that they could afford, which was $950 a month. And it was nearly impossible to find something for rent. Landlords want rental history. They want credit. We had neither of those things. I was willing to co-sign on anything. There just was nothing. And so I did some research, and I found a house for $150,000, and my mortgage was $950, and they pay me $950, and now they have a house with a yard and a basement, and they get to go to the same school, and they have a life here.
Yeah.
And I mean, how often are we presented with an opportunity like that to just really change somebody's life? And I had to take it. I had no choice. And thankfully, my husband was on board. But it has worked out for all of us.
This is remarkable. I understand you've also recruited 7 friends to partner with Afghan families. People were up for this too, not just opening their checkbooks.
Not everybody has the time. So a lot of people have partnered together to pair up with families. But yes, there are so many families still that don't have an American partner family, and we still need people to step up and be American partner families. But it's hard. We live such busy lives in America, and we hardly have time for our own lives, much less adopting another family. But once you meet these families and you realize that their needs are so simple and so easy to meet, you're willing to give your time. So yes, I've recruited a lot of help, but everybody, you go to sleep feeling so fulfilled at the end of the night because you're really helping people that want it and need it, and you're making a big difference in somebody's life. So I feel like whether you can give your time or you can give your money, this is a wonderful group of people to give it to.
So a big thing you're working on right now involves even more cars. Can you tell us about this initiative?
Yes. So the challenge we have is that they all need cars and they have no money, and they cannot get a traditional loan because of the type of visas that they're on. So they go and get cars kind of through a shady dealer, and they promise that they're going to send their entire paycheck to this man every week, and they're given a lemon for way overpriced. And so that causes us all a lot more trouble because now we have a broken car and they have a promissory note to somebody we can't even find out who this person is. So the cars that we get donated are amazing, but there were 6 that I got, but I need like 30 more. And and
I love this. You need 30 more.
We
It's
do.
a big deal. Yeah.
So I kind of got thinking, like, if we can raise big money, we can buy cars, affordable, reliable cars for these families, and just set them out right here. Start them out with a solid foundation in St. Louis. So I partnered with Dave Sinclair, and they're going to call me when they get a trade-in that's an affordable, reliable car, and we're going to try to buy cars for $5,000 or less and title them in the immigrant's name. So we're just starting that now. So we're doing a huge capital campaign to try to raise money to allow this to happen. We started a nonprofit called Humankind STL, and that's how we're gonna try to fundraise through that and buy cars.
Get these 30 cars.
Yes.
I love that can-do spirit. So your cousin Delia says you're going to be involved with these families for life. Does that feel like a big commitment you kind of just almost backed into?
Oh, yeah. This was definitely not planned, but it's wonderful. I mean, we are learning so much about their culture, and I didn't even have to leave my city. And they are so loving and appreciative, and they need us. So yes, it is overwhelming to think that I have now gained 200 plus Afghans into my family, but it's an easy thing to do when you meet them.
And so you also have 3 kids. In just our final moments here, I'm wondering, is this something that has maybe helped them, given them a new perspective?
Yes, for sure. My kids love to play with Fareed's kids because they speak a different language, and my kids had never hung out with anybody who spoke a different language, and my kids want to learn Pashto, and then they want to teach Fareed's kids English, and they have so much fun. And my teenager, he goes to Chaminade. He initiated a fundraiser on his own at Chaminade, and they collected $2,000 at a dress down day that then we used towards gift cards for the immigrant families. So yes, my kids see it, they're part of it, and it's definitely impacting their lives in a really positive way.
Well, Ann Wittman, this is just remarkable to hear. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
This episode was produced by Kayla Drake with audio engineering by Aaron Dorr. Our production intern is Avery Rogers. This podcast was mixed and edited by Avery. Our executive producer is Alex Hoyer. St. Louis on the Air is a production of St. Louis Public Radio. Understanding starts here.
Do you find yourself regularly listening to episodes of St. Louis on the Air? Suggest us to a friend you think might enjoy our conversations. And leave us a review and rating on Apple Podcasts on the App Store. It's the simplest way to help people discover our show. Thanks.
St. Louis Public Radio is a member-supported service of the University of Missouri, St. Louis.
Support comes from the Missouri Forest Products Association. Missouri produces wood pallets, railroad ties, white oak barrels, hardwood floors, and more. Details on the variety of products made in the state are at choosewood.com.